Y'all want to be invited to the cookout? This is the cookout. This is education. This is activation. We need you here in order to invite you there. And trust me, we want to. We just got to make sure your intentions are matching your impact. So, come on, get you a plate. This is that talk. Welcome back for another episode of That Talk. I'm Javi. Let's begin. This week's topic is toning down our blackness. This is the first in a mini-series on respectability. Throughout our lives, we're mindful that our life isn't in our hands, but it isn't just police. How does this manifest in the workplace, in personal relationships, in school? How do we protect ourselves from a perceived fear of us and still achieve? You see, our skin color by that imagination has been transformed into a magnet for misfortune. And a lot of times, knowing that we're fighting that battle, we unilaterally disarm to make people feel comfortable, to accommodate that fear, whether it's valid or not. Spoiler, it's not. Have there ever been times where you felt you needed to tone down your blackness to accommodate someone?
Often, always, in the professional setting, because I think there is a culture of anti-blackness that exists here in America. When you think about the norms that are established within workplace culture, the way that people define professionalism, the way that culture is looked at and frowned upon in so many instances.
There's a level of comfort in order, at least at that point, the level of comfort that different people have with your blackness, your
body language and facial expressions, and sometimes like actual verbal cues, what makes people feel uncomfortable. And so I definitely lead with whiteness in those spaces. And, I try to talk the way that my mom talked and talk about things that I might personally find less interesting at times because, it's in an effort to relate to people and build community.
We've all heard the stereotypes. So a lot of times preemptively, we disarm ourselves by trying to prove ourselves the opposite of that as a means of protection and survival before we enter into situations that could be dangerous to us.
And I knew that the stereotype was loud, obnoxious. I just spent most of my life being very quiet. And if I did speak up, I always used super proper grammar and English as I was communicating with people. I was always very agreeable. I never wanted to make any waves.
The proper black guy, and I can't be threatening. And in order for me to work my way up in a company, I had to kind of not identify as black, but just really be myself. I had to put these layers and layers of masks on my identity and my personality and just focus on the job. I think that just hindered my expression and my freedom to kind of not be myself, to not listen to my voice, to not actually call out some of the things that I saw in what I experienced.
Having to, and I hate to use this term, but like code switch is kind of like a part of the general nature of things. And, I definitely find it challenging at times. I most often find those experiences warranted in the workplace, but I do my best to rebel against it, so.
appearance, your tone. I'm tall, I'm 6'2", so just understanding that you come into a place in a space and people have preconceived notions.
And everyone deserves that respect, but not everyone is freely given it.
A certain way in which I had to present myself at all times. There was a certain vernacular that I needed to use at all times. I believe, just as you alluded to, if I operated in a manner of respectability politics as the term is coined today, then that will allow individuals to afford me more grace and also treat me better than they may treat some of my friends who may speak a little differently.
The problem is when we tone down our blackness, we're taking responsibility for what's happening to us and we're legitimizing their unfounded fears. How can we contribute our best if we can't even bring our full selves to the table? That's not to say we don't. We absolutely do. But what are we missing? How did you feel in that moment?
To tone down my blackness has left me feeling like very isolated in a lot of ways that, you know, when you can't bring your full self to the table, it weighs pretty heavily on you in a number of different ways.
What made you think that I looked like a threat, or why did you perceive me as a threat? And my friend, in the most softest and innocent and angelic voice, said, you know, we were just going to vote, sir. And I kind of looked at her with a level of disgust because she lowered her blackness in that moment because she was afraid. And it appeared as if we weren't on the same page in that moment, but I had to remember that she was afraid and she was a woman and she didn't know if they were going to kill her. And naturally, in that moment, I was angry.
So ridiculous for people to still treat us like this for no apparent reason. I almost feel like I'm supposed to be blacker than black now. You know, I'm supposed to really let it shine and let people know, like, yo, this is who I am, this is what I'm all about. And so the moment that, you know, people realize the error of their ways and know that, man, you know, we do a lot of great things. We do a whole lot of different things. And it's important for us to make sure that people know exactly what they're dealing with.
That is on them to understand, because no one has ever asked me to people to tone down their whiteness.
Like my blackness shine even more, you know, because I feel like since we know it's so
us to bring the full breadth of who we are into these spaces and not shy away from that.
I was born a black man. I am a black man, and I'll die a black man. And there is nothing that I would change about my blackness to conform to what the police or anyone who doesn't look like me feels that I should assimilate myself into. That will never happen.
The benefit and the burden of being black is that we are very resilient, but the problem is this country has confused our resilience with resolution. We code switch and we accommodate to try to show that we're one of the good ones. But regardless of our appearance, our tone, our education, we deserve respect just like everybody else. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I'm Javi, and as always, make sure your actions match your captions. I'll see you next week on That Talk.